It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Sheba.
Not good to have you back to talk about a spike in cases, though, and with these new variants.
Yeah, the new variants are really problematic. People who have been infected recently with Omicron, for example, this past winter, are now at risk for a new variant infecting them, and that's BA.4 or BA.5. And like other previous generations of variant strains, they are more transmissible, and more problematic than that is they're creating evasiveness against the immunity that develops after you're naturally infected or been vaccinated, so that you remain at risk for getting reinfected. And that's what we're seeing a lot of right now, reinfections in people who have not so long ago been infected or vaccinated.
Right, that is the scary part now, because it seemed before, at least in theory, we thought that if you had COVID, you had a little bit more protection. With this variant, that doesn't seem to be true.
Not the case, although again I really want to emphasize, as we have previously, that vaccination does prevent severe complications even from infections with BA.4, which is probably about 16% of the cases currently in the United States, and BA.5 65%. So together these evasive, very transmissible variants constitute more than 80% of the strains causing infections currently in this country.
Yeah, and we are seeing these high numbers, but as I mentioned, what's even crazier is that we really don't have a sense of the numbers because so many people are taking at-home tests now.
We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, Sheba. You're absolutely correct. The cases being reported don't reflect most of the testing that's going on out there at home, for example.
Yeah, so moving forward with how to tackle this, the FDA wants to see these companies make a booster that is tailored specifically for these variants. But how soon could we see that happen for it to be helpful?
Yeah, very important point to make, that the next generation of vaccine is likely going to be targeting these Omicron subvariants that we're starting to see now. And hopefully those will prevent infections from these variants that continue to evolve. If there are no infections, there are no variants. But we are seeing variants. We're here in India. There's a 2.75 variant that we need to keep our eye on. And as a result, we need better and better vaccines, because we know that these very evasive strains are going to continue to cause problems for us.
And you kind of mentioned there, as long as we see new infections, we'll continue to see this mutate?
It will continue to mutate. It cannot mutate if it's not replicating. It can't replicate if it isn't infecting a human host. So we need to continue to push and reinforce vaccinations. About 2/3 of the United States population is fully vaccinated, but less than half of those eligible for boosters are vaccinated. And they constitute a rather large portion of the population that could get infected and continue to generate more variants.
And speaking of vaccinations, a new vaccine has just been approved by the FDA, the Novavax vaccine. And I was telling you, I said at this point, if someone hasn't gotten a vaccine, I'm not sure what they're waiting for, but I know that with this Novavax vaccine, it is a different kind of development than the ones we've seen with mRNA. This one is protein-based. Kind of help us understand the difference.
Yeah. So one point I do want to make is that, to your question about when the next generation of vaccines targeting the Omicron subvariants can be fully put out there, is probably the fall, October. And then the Novavax vaccine, a technology that's already in existence. We have vaccines targeting viruses, for example, that use the technology that the Novavax vaccine works upon. So it'd be nice to include in our armamentarium, in addition to the other vaccines that we have available, primarily those messenger RNA vaccines that are being produced by Pfizer, for example, and Moderna, to have another platform of vaccine available to us. Maybe we'll be mixing and matching in the same way that we've been doing previously with the Johnson & Johnson vaccines and the messenger RNA vaccines, to improve immunity against these variants.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you so much for updating us on these latest developments. We always are hoping for more progress. Thank you, Dr. Lopez.
Sure.
And as COVID cases continue to rise, remember, vaccines are available for all age groups now. Just last month, the FDA approved those vaccines for children ages 6 months to 5 years old. They were the only age group not permitted for the shots. If you need help finding a vaccination center near you, you can just text the word VAX, VAX, to 504-529-4444, and we'll get you a link with that information.